Have you ever noticed how a single scent can just instantly take you back somewhere? Or, totally change how you feel?
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing, isn't it? The power of scent.
It really is. And it's not just personal, right? It's actually a huge global business.
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today.
Right. We're doing a deep dive into the global Jasmine Essential Oil Market. Sounds niche, maybe, but it's surprisingly big.
It really is. Our mission today is basically to unpack what's been happening, the market dynamics, the money involved, and look at the forecasts.
Yeah, we've got some detailed market research here, and we want to give you a shortcut to understanding what's driving this scented economy.
And the numbers might genuinely surprise you. We're talking significant figures and pretty consistent growth projected, too.
Okay, so let's unpack that then.
Yeah.
When we say Jasmine Essential Oil, we're not just talking about like a nice smell in a small shop. This is a global market.
A multi-million-dollar one, yeah.
So what's the big picture look like based on the data?
Okay, so the overall view shows a market that's definitely growing. In 2021, global sales revenue was $226.757 million.
Wow, okay. Over 226 million.
Yeah. And it's projected to climb to nearly $277 million, let's see, by 2025.
Right.
And then a pretty big jump to over $411 million by 2033.
411 million. So it's almost doubling in about a decade.
Pretty much. That works out to an overall compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of about 5.1%.
5.1%. So growing steadily each year.
Exactly. So what this means for you listening is that demand isn't just stable, it's expanding quite significantly. It might seem specialized, but its scale and that upward trend are, well, they're really telling.
It shows real resilience, doesn't it? And maybe a broadening appeal.
I think so. It points to, its use in everything from perfumes and cosmetics, obviously, but also this growing interest in aromatherapy and natural wellness. It's quite versatile.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, global numbers are one thing, but this story often gets more interesting when you look regionally. Let's start with North America. What's its piece of the pie look like?
Right. North America is definitely a major player. In 2021, its value was $76.417 million.
Okay, significant jump.
Yeah. And it's projected to grow to just over $91.8 million in 2025 and then hit about $134 million by 2033.
And the growth rate there?
The CAGR for North America overall is about 4.855%, so solid growth.
Okay. And within North America, I assume the U.S. is the biggest part.
Yes, the U.S. led the way in 2021 with $52.447 million. And it's projected to grow to $88.5 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 4.67%. Steady.
Okay, steady. What about Canada and Mexico? Any surprises there?
Well, interestingly, Canada's growth rate is actually higher than the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Canada started at about $14.15 million in 2021, and it's projected to reach over $28 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of nearly 6%, 5.911% to be exact.
That's quite a bit higher. Any thoughts on why?
Could be a few things. Maybe a stronger consumer shift towards natural products up there, or perhaps, a lively local cosmetics scene. Hard to say for sure from just the numbers, but it's noticeable.
Definitely. And Mexico.
Mexico's showing consistent growth too. Started around $9.8 million in 2021, projected to hit about $17.5 million by 2033. That's a CTR of roughly 4.2%. So contributing steadily to that regional total.
Okay, interesting dynamics within North America. Let's hop across the pond to Europe. How's it compare? Different trends, maybe.
Europe's another big segment, yeah. Its 2021 value was around $51.2 million.
Right.
It's projected to grow to nearly $62 million in 2025, and then up to almost $89 million by 2033.
And the growth rate for Europe overall?
The overall CAGR for Europe is 4.685%, so slightly lower than North America overall, but still very solid.
Okay, and you mentioned trends. Is it pretty uniform across Europe, or?
No, definitely not uniform. That's what's really striking about Europe. You've got quite a bit of diversity in the growth rates between countries.
Okay, like give us some examples.
Well, you've got the big economies like Germany and the UK showing pretty strong growth. Germany was about $11.7 million in 2021, projected to hit nearly $22 million by 2033. That's over 5% CAGR.
Okay.
And the UK, similar story, started smaller at $8.2 million, but growing faster at about 5.4% CAGR, reaching over $15.6 million.
Right, so they're outpacing the regional average.
Yeah.
What about others, like France or Italy?
France and Italy are growing steadily, but a bit more moderately. France around 4.3% CAGR and Italy about 4%. Russia's also in that slightly slower bracket, around 3.9%. Spain's similar, about 4.1%.
So mix of paces.
Mhm.
Any real standouts, either high or low?
Well, some of the smaller Nordic countries like Sweden and Denmark are growing a bit slower, around 3.5, 3.6%. Switzerland's a bit higher, around 4.5%.
Okay.
But the real surprise, honestly, is the rest of Europe category.
Ah, the catch-all. What's happening there?
It started really small, just over $1.2 million in 2021, but it's projected to grow to almost $3.4 million by 2033.
Okay.
That translates to a SEGRT of 8.822%.
Wow. 8.8%. That's huge compared to the others.
It really is. It's like this hidden pocket of, really rapid growth within Europe. It suggests demand is accelerating very quickly in some of those maybe less traditionally dominant European markets.
That's fascinating. Shows you really need to look beyond the big names sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of dynamic growth, Asia Pacific, often a powerhouse region. What's the picture there for Jasmine Oil?
Yeah, Asia Pacific is definitely where things get pretty interesting in terms of acceleration.
Okay.
The market there was valued at about $38.5 million back in 2021.
Right.
It's expected to grow to nearly $49 million in 2025 and then reach over $76 million by 2033.
And the growth rate, how does it stack up?
Significantly higher than North America or Europe. The overall CAGR for Asia Pacific is projected at 5.767%.
Okay, so noticeably faster growth across the region. Who's leading the charge? China.
China is the largest market, yes. Started at about $12.2 million in 2021, projected to more than double to almost $25 million by 2033. That's a strong CAGR of just over 6%.
Okay, strong and steady from China. What about India? Usually a key market to watch.
Absolutely. India is really surging here. It started neck and neck with Japan in 2021, around $5.3 million.
Right.
But India's projected growth rate is much higher, around 6.6% CAGR. It's expected to reach over $11.6 million by 2033.
Wow, 6.6%. That's very robust. Why is such strong growth there, do you think?
Could be a combination of factors, right? Growing middle class, maybe more disposable income, a strong cultural connection to natural scents and traditional practices, plus a booming personal care market.
Makes sense. What about other key players like Japan or South Korea?
Japan's growing solidly, around 5% CAGR. South Korea, too, slightly higher at about 5.6%. Australia is similar, around 5.4%. Singapore also showing good growth, about 5.2%. And Southeast Asia as a collective category is growing quite fast, too, over 6.1% CAGR.
So lots of strong growth across the board.
Yeah.
Is there one particular country that's like the rest of Europe equivalent, maybe smaller but growing exceptionally fast?
Yes, definitely. Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah.
It started quite small, less than $700,000 in 2021, but it's projected to reach over $1.75 million by 2033.
And the key AGR.
An impressive 8.323%.
Whoa. Okay, so Taiwan and that rest of Europe group are really the high flyers globally.
Exactly. They stand out even within their fast-growing regions. Could be local industry booms, specific consumer trends taking off. It really highlights these dynamic pockets.
Absolutely fascinating. Okay, let's complete our world tour. South America, the Middle East, and Africa. What are the key patterns emerging there? Let's start with South America.
Okay, South America. The market there was about $24.2 million in 2021. It's projected to grow to over $41.5 million by 2033.
And the growth rate.
The overall CAGR for South America is around 4.6%, pretty much in line with Europe, actually.
Okay. Any standout countries within the region?
Brazil's the largest and growing steadily at nearly 5%. Argentina is similar, about 4.8%. Colombia actually shows slightly higher growth, over 5.1%. Peru and Chile are a bit lower, around 4% and 4.3%. And the rest of South America is growing slowest, around 3.2%. So some variation, but generally solid growth.
Got it. Okay, now the Middle East. You often hear about rapid growth in luxury goods there. Does that apply to Jasmine Oil?
It certainly seems to. The Middle East market is, well, it's projecting some of the strongest growth globally.
Really? How strong?
It started at about $19.5 million in 2021, projected to more than double to nearly $40 million by 2033.
Okay.
And the overall CAGR for the region is a very high 6.354%.
Wow. Over 6.3%. That's even higher than Asia Pacific overall.
Exactly. It's a real hot spot. And within the region, some countries are even faster. Saudi Arabia, for example, is projected at over 7.1% CAGR.
7.1%.
Yeah. And the UAE is close behind at about 6.7%.
Yeah.
Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, They're all showing robust growth over 6% as well.
That's incredible growth across the board there. What's driving that, do you think?
Likely a mix, rising disposable incomes, definitely a strong luxury market, and maybe a deep cultural appreciation for fine, high quality fragrances plays a big role too. They're clearly embracing this product.
Clearly a region to watch closely.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, Africa. What's the trend there?
Africa is also showing a solid upward trend. The market was nearly $17 million, $16.78 million in 2021.
Right.
It's expected to grow to just over $31 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 4.94%.
So pretty strong growth there too, almost 5%.
Yeah. And within Africa, Nigeria and South Africa are the key drivers, both showing growth rates over 5%. Nigeria around 5.3%, South Africa slightly higher at 5.6%.
Okay, and the rest of the continent.
The rest of Africa category is growing more slowly, about 2.4% CAGR. So the growth seems more concentrated in those larger economies, reflecting, expanding consumer bases and growing interest in personal care there.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, a lot of numbers. So let's try to synthesize this. What does it all mean? If you're listening to all this, what are the big takeaways that really stand out?
Well, I think the first and maybe the most obvious takeaway is just the sheer consistency of the global growth. We're seeing the market projected to go from, $226 million to over $411 million. That's a strong, steady expansion.
Right. Demand is clearly rising across the board.
Exactly. Across all those different uses, perfumes, aromatherapy, cosmetics, it shows the product has real staying power and broadening appeal.
Okay, so consistent global growth is number one. What else?
The second key thing is the regional dynamic. While, North America and Europe are the biggest markets right now in terms of value.
Yeah, the established players.
Right. But it's Asia Pacific and particularly the Middle East that are showing significantly higher growth rates. The Middle East at over 6.3% CAGR is really notable. It tells you where the momentum is building fastest.
So don't just look at the current size, look at the growth trajectory.
Precisely. And that leads to the third point, those pockets of really rapid expansion we found.
Like rest of Europe and Taiwan.
Exactly. Rest of Europe at 8.8%, Taiwan at 8.3%, Saudi Arabia over 7%, UAE nearly 7%. These are the sort of hidden hotspots. They show that even within regions, growth isn't uniform. Specific factors are driving supercharged growth in certain places.
And what's the final key takeaway?
I'd say it's the diversity of the market sizes themselves. We talked about countries with markets in the single millions and others in the tens of millions, all within this one product category. It shows you have both mature, established markets coexisting with these really dynamic emerging ones. It's a complex picture.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? That even something seemingly specific like Jasmine Essential Oil is woven into this intricate global economic fabric. It gives you real insights, not just into perfume trends, but maybe broader consumer shifts, regional economies.
Absolutely. And sometimes these specialized markets act as like early indicators, bellwethers for bigger trends in wellness or luxury goods or natural products.
Well, we've certainly journeyed through the numbers today. From that big global picture down into the regions and even specific countries. It really shows how much you can uncover when you do a deep dive.
Following the data.
Yeah. So this fragrant world of Jasmine Essential Oil, projected to nearly double in value over the next 10 years or so. It tells us that understanding a market isn't just about who's biggest now, but really understanding where that dynamic growth is happening. And often, it's in corners of the world you might not expect.
Definitely food for thought.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other, maybe niche markets out there are quietly experiencing this kind of significant sustained growth that might just surprise us?